let's keep talking about mortgages because as I mentioned before, I have a client from Brazil that wants to buy a property here using a mortgage because in Brazil now if you leave the money at the bank, they pay you 1% per month. It's a lot of money. And then here if you take a mortgage for 4% a year, you make a lot of, just leave the money there, take a mortgage here. But in his case, he's a Brazilian. He needs to open a company here. We are using a mortgage broker and then they are helping us with this process, quite complex process. I don't know if it's just because of we are talking about Brazil or if someone comes from United States, they want to take a mortgage. How is the process? They always have to open a company to take a mortgage as a private person?
The banks, as any lender, they really want to make sure that they are lending the money to a very good profile. It doesn't only entrain your economic profile, but if they require you to set up or incorporate a company here, it's probably because they want to make sure that they have a good race course, meaning that they need a frame or something solid so that they can execute the payments, for example.
Have you had an example before, a case of a client coming from outside that used the mortgage here? Because talking about expats now, let's say UK clients, they are not Europeans anymore, and that changed a lot. Quick comment here, because I have a client now that is complaining because he's from UK, he's living here, now he's not a resident actually, like he is a foreign here. He told me that the airport now, they will have cameras to check everyone if they are being here, living at the right time. They can stay 90 days, no?
183.
183. But they have to stay 90, go back to Europe, and then come back after 90 days.
If they don't have any kind of visa or residency, yeah, I'm afraid that's one of the consequences.
Many UK citizens now, they are living here. They are doing this non-profit visa because they are not a European anymore. But the question I made to you before about client, someone that is a foreign from the United States, for example, if they want to take a mortgage, they can take a mortgage here normally, or how is it?
For non-residents here, it may be more difficult to obtain a bank, but it's not something that will prevent them from obtaining with the Spanish banks. Spanish banks, as any other lender, they will require a good profile, and the longer the mortgage, the better, absolutely. So they will be very specific on which will be your intentions here, because if they figure out that you want to resale in a couple of years, they may not be as interested on lending you the money. And yes, also they want to make sure exactly not the amount of money you have been able to do at the moment of asking for the mortgage, but the capacity that you will have in the future to obtain income. And for example, one of my clients, he arrived to Marbella, he fell in love with this property. He had recently sold his company for 10 million euros, okay, in Sweden. In Sweden, they have this opportunity that if they don't take the amount of money but leave it in the state for investment purposes, they don't pay taxes. This client didn't have the money at hand at the moment of buying, but he already has sold his property for 10 million euros. And he was very certain that he had a very good profile for asking for a mortgage here in Spain. So he did the deposit, he went further and even did the 10% payment. And at the real moment, he was unable to obtain a mortgage here in Spain. And it was very, very difficult to convince a Spanish bank that he has very good profile, because the Spanish banks, what they were thinking is that, okay, this person at the moment doesn't have enough money to pay for the property, and in 2 years he's gonna obtain this 10 million euros back and he's gonna end the mortgage with us. So he's not a calling profile for us. Yeah, then you have so many other opportunities, as incorporating a company here that you were pointing out, and also private finance. But definitely I enhance everybody to get a good lawyer for negotiating with the bank, and definitely a good broker as well. That is a key part right now.
Exactly, especially if we talk, for example, let's talk about new developments off plan. I know that some companies, a company called Otero, they got bankrupt 2 years ago, and many people that bought properties from them, they lost money. Is it possible? Because as we know, when someone buy a property off plan here, they pay normally 30% in more or less 3 to 6 months. And when they pay this 30%, they expect to do the mortgage at the end of the construction of the other 70%, for example. And then if they pay this 30%, is it totally safe for them? The bank guarantees, how is the guarantee of someone buying off-plan property if the company can go bankrupt after a while?
That's a very good question, and it's a very tricky situation that we haven't witnessed in a very long time here in Spain and in Marbella. It's not usual that developers go bankrupt after the economic crisis that we went through here in Spain in 2008. That was very based on real estate, as you know already. Banks and laws has been paying attention to guarantee buyers the safety of their money. For this, it's also very important that when you're buying from a developer, you have a good lawyer to do the real legal checks to make sure that your money is properly guaranteed and that the insurances that are securing your money are trustful, because some developers, especially the small ones, can obtain these bank guarantees from insurances that are based in very faraway places, fiscal paradises, which holders are never easy to reach. It's very important that the bank guarantees are secured, especially here in Spain, with the proper documentation and everything. What happened to the clients of Otero? They haven't lost their money, but the point is that it's gonna entrain further time to obtain this money because it needs a trial, a judicial procedure, it entrains lawyers, bureaucracy in Spain is very low, and the judicial procedures are also slow, and it won't be from one day to another that they obtain their money back, definitely, but their money is not lost.
Wow, that's good to know. The people will probably have to wait more, but they will have their money back. And as you mentioned, the importance of having a lawyer, I see the same importance having a very prepared realtor for checking everything, because here is not, we have the market is not professionalized here in Spain. You don't need to study, you don't need to have a degree, you don't need to have a license, everyone can do it. Sometimes it's very annoying, frustrating for us that work professionally, invest. I have my office, I do the best possible for providing the best situation for the clients, to be safe for them. So we have some scammers around. I've heard some cases of scammers, people just faking, like flexing luxury cars to look like they are trustable, and at the end they disappear with the money. And that's something that people have to take care before they come here and check it.
You need to take care, definitely. I think that there are some main figures that will entrain the security of your investment here. The broker, the realtor, the lawyer, and then the mortgage broker as well if you need one, which I would say that nowadays, even if you don't need a mortgage, is a very good option, especially because in Spain we are very, very competitive with the rates, as you pointed out, in comparison with the rest of Europe and in the world.
I see many people now are worrying about this short-term regulations that are getting more strict, but at the same time I think they shouldn't worry too much about it.
Well, as we were mentioning since the very beginning, that this 2025 year has been very chaotic and quite difficult in terms of regulation changes. The short-term rentals has been the main objective right now here. There has been some main changes, and this entrained the ability, the capacity of new owners to obtain a short-term rental license. On the first hand, we now will require to obtain the 2/3 quorum of the community of owners agreement, which is very, very difficult to obtain, and especially because now we are seeing how usually or beforehand properties were sold with this license, because the license was linked to the property and not to the owner. Nowadays, we are facing a very big and deep discussion in legal terms, which I don't want to be boring and I don't want to go too deep, but this is being challenged, and now we are seeing how this license is being requested to the new owner. As easy to be obtained, but this is following the legal trend now to prevent new short-term rental apartments to be on the market. We have faced most of the key points when you buy a property in Spain, which is the procedure, the three main phases, and what does it entail, the taxes that are involved when you buy from a developer or a resale, right? When you sell, which are the taxes that you need to pay, which is the plusvalía and the non-capital gain tax, and then which are your obligations as an owner once you are already here in Spain, which is paying the non-resident tax on a yearly basis. Once you are already an owner here in Spain, regarding your entire property here, as we were talking about, the wealth tax is 100% exemption. So you don't need to pay anything on all you own unless your own net value is over 3 million euros. Right? This is the solidarity tax we were speaking about earlier. And then you need to consider the non-resident tax, which is on the benefits that you're doing when from your assets in Spain, which is different if you are a EU resident and if you are a non-EU resident. EU residents pay 19%, non-EU residents pay 24%.